She was 8 months pregnant and getting ready to welcome a new life. Instead, police say the father of her unborn child snuffed out her life. Following the arrest of the suspect in Louisiana, Ashanti Allen's family joins us live to share their story tonight. Plus, faith over flesh. Ahead tonight, we sit down with people who are actively choosing celibacy. Ahead, how we discuss their discipline and their decision to wait.
The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts now.
And welcome and thank you for joining us tonight here on The Factor Uncensored. Starting off on The Factor with a crime that has forever changed a Houston family. 23-year-old Ashanti Allen, who was 8 months pregnant, was found strangled and abandoned near a southwest Houston park. Now, the father of her unborn child, Kevin Foe, has been arrested for capital murder. Police say he even confessed and showed off her body on a FaceTime video call before fleeing to Louisiana. Joining us to talk about this tragedy is Ashanti's family, her cousins Brittany Davis, Zakara Wiseman, her brother and sister Marsha Peavy, and Xavier Gaines, and her mother Teresa Gaines Colbert. Glad to have you all here on The Factor. First of all, thank you for coming, because I know this has got to be tough. You're still processing all of this.
Yes, yes.
When you first heard about this, obviously it was like the world ending to you.
Yes, when I first received that text message that was sent to me at 3:50 a.m. on April the 10th, I think I saw about the afternoon time when I woke up, and I knew that didn't come from my daughter, because my daughter was feeling weak. She can barely walk. She was constantly fainting. And I even had to give her my wheelchair to get around in. That's how bad off she was. So when I seen that text, I already knew that wasn't from her. So I asked the apartment manager to give me the key to go into her apartment. Everything was still there, including the hospital bag. The wheelchair was still there. Everything, baby stuff, still there. I looked in the garage. I did not see my vehicle. So I instantly knew. So that's when I called HPD out to come take a report. They did a missing persons report. And while they had shown me a picture of Kevin, I said, that's him. I said, if anything happened to my daughter, he did it. And so I informed her sister and her brother what was going on. And thanks to my son, he was like a PI. He tracked the phone. It was pinging at Kevin's mom's house. So he went over there to find out why was her phone pinging. And of course, she's like, oh, her phone is not here. And so she called Kevin, put him on speaker, and then I started asking questions. He told me that he hadn't seen my child in over a week.
And you knew that was a lie?
Yes, yes. And so, to sum it up for that day, we had called the police to do a welfare check because our phone was pinging there. We waited about 4 hours. While we were sitting there waiting, he pulled us up in my vehicle. And I immediately jumped out, and I asked him, how did you get my vehicle if you have not seen my child in over a week? He wouldn't answer. I said, where's my daughter? He wouldn't answer. I said, where's my key? It's around my waist, and I just snatched it off of him. Called HPD again to inform them that, you know, he was there. Still had to wait. So they eventually came. By this time, he had already took, what was that? He took out the car.
He took a bin.
Yeah, he took a bin of clothes. He had muddy shoes in there, everything. I told the officers when they came there that he took that bin out. It could have been a lot of evidence in there, but it was like they kind of blew us off.
That night,
you
they
know,
didn't take us. I feel like they would have took it a little bit more serious and was acting out a little more faster. We probably could have found my sister sooner. But she was out there for 7 days in a ditch, and so now it's like we feel like we was like failed. Like nobody was like, every time we kept saying, we know he took her, we know that this is going on, and it was like, well, how y'all know she's just not trying to get away from people? How y'all know? And it just felt like we wasn't, like, we was helpless. We couldn't get the help we needed at the moment. I feel like if they would have took us serious that night, my sister probably would have been found sooner.
Xavier, did you guys know this could possibly come? It's my understanding Kevin was convicted in 2021, same thing, of domestic violence, and then in 2025 with your daughter, but he was able to get out with time served already. Say, your thoughts about that?
I just think that the system shouldn't have let him out, even with time served, especially with a history like that. It just didn't make sense for him to get out so quick, especially basically empty-handed. He didn't get a ankle monitor. He wasn't on probation or anything. He just walked out.
And 2 months later, we're here.
And 2 months later, I mean, here we are. It shouldn't have been like this.
What are your feelings now that he has been captured in Louisiana?
We can sleep. We can sleep.
so
It was
happy.
a lot
Were
of
you guys
sleepless
frightened
nights.
as well, knowing he was out
threatened my
there?
auntie.
Yes, he threatened my life.
So, yeah.
What did
Yeah.
he tell you?
Well, he sent a message to my son stating that he was going to be missing 2 MFs. So when he said that, I'm like, I knew he did something to my daughter.
Yep.
That was a confession right there.
Yep.
And looking at what you guys have witnessed, would you describe him as a person with a troubling mind or just evil?
Evil and heartless.
He's evil. He's a
The way
walking
he killed my
demon.
sister, he's evil. He killed my sister as if she was nothing and left her like that. For you to strangle somebody, you have a lot of hatred in your heart. It's no way that you could just feel like you're just a normal person to actually just put that much strength into wanting to strangle somebody and kill them and dump their body like a pregnant person, helpless. She can barely walk. She's 5'1". Barely can walk, barely could breathe, and you just killed her and threw her out there like that. That's like, you're evil.
Do you guys think he hated her all along? Was he jealous? What do you think?
I think he was jealous.
I think
Because
he
my
was
sister was think about it. And my brother, we took him in. We took Kevin in when he had nowhere to sleep. We had no food. He had nowhere to get to back and forth to work. Using my brother's car, we took care of him. So for him to do stuff like that to my sister, he was just jealous of her. He was jealous of whatever she had going on. She was working. She had her own house. She was doing well for herself. She went to school. He didn't have nothing to look forward to. So he took it from her.
We're going to take a quick break here, and we'll come back and talk with Ashanti Allen's family after the break. Stay with us here on The Factor.
Do you want everything?
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We're talking to the family of Ashanti Allen. And of course, Kevin Foe is headed back to Houston after being captured in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. Now, taking a look back, did any of you quietly say, leave him?
I did.
He's not good for you.
I did.
And what was her response?
And she would tell me, oh, we're not together. You know how when they grown, they feel like they can figure everything out. But he was her first boyfriend. Yes, yes, because I was
Would
one
you
of
say
those.
a manipulator?
Oh, he needs an Academy Award for his acting because he had all of us fooled. We even took him to church with us, everything. And just a couple of weeks before all of this happened, he was in my house. Hey, mama, I love you, mama, and all this kind of stuff. He was going to the OB appointments with her when she was hospitalized. Oh, he was there. He was all excited about the baby and everything. But now, all that was just fake.
We just didn't know what was really going on with Ashanti. Ashanti is very quiet, stays to herself. All she do is work, go to school, play her video games. That's her
The
life.
baby of the family.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
my
said.
baby sister. It was just us two. We were just sisters. She don't have any. I'm my only sister, and she's my only sister. But her lifestyle wasn't like, she didn't go out and party. She didn't do none of that stuff. She was pretty much stay to herself. So whatever she was going through, she didn't probably know how to speak it out because she was so quiet and stay to herself. So we didn't know if he was like abusing her or anything. We just found all this out when we went searching for her. We found out that she had to call us, the police on him in September and things like that.
Oh, you guys didn't know about that?
No,
Wow.
no.
We just found all this out. So it was like, when we going through these, people's asking us questions, we were like, really? We didn't know that. Why she didn't speak? We didn't know because my sister was just so quiet. She didn't bother nobody. So that's why we like, why did he do this to her? Because she didn't even, it was uncalled for.
Yeah, she truly and genuinely loved him.
She did. She thought she trusted. If my sister knew she was walking into her death that night, she probably wouldn't have went with him. She felt like she was with somebody she could trust, that she loved and she cared about. And it's like, for him to do that to her, a little, like, she's 23. She was 22. She was a baby. She was just getting started. Like, this is really, I feel like we were robbed.
And you said she went into the medical field because of your health, and she wanted to help you, Mom.
Yes, yes. Her future plans was to eventually be like a nurse practitioner, have her own little practice or whatever. And like I said, due to my health, she was like, I know what field I want to get in. I want to get in the medical field. I was like, okay, girl, do it. So I'm just so honored that, you know, she did pursue her career. But it's just devastating. Just knowing that this person was just all in my face and just was evil the whole time. When they say we have demons in human form, that's Kevin. Can't tell me nothing different. That was a walking demon.
We also want to let you all know that the family did not help us.
Oh, yeah.
They declined. The mom delayed us. They did not.
Meaning Kevin's family.
Kevin's family did not help us. Nobody in their family reached out to my auntie or my cousins. No one helped us. The mom delayed us the first day. I feel like the first day we could have had him. We could have had him on Friday, but they delayed us. But again, I want everybody to know the family did not help us.
Do you think they knew all along?
They knew.
Yes, I've been sharing on social media.
He said it. He said it in a text message
No,
that
I
his
mean,
family
knew that he did something.
Yes.
We reached out to them.
Yes.
Yeah, we reached out to them. They act like they didn't know nothing. He had already stated like, oh, my family gonna ride with me. So
He said that in the
He
text
said
message.
that.
yeah, that's what he said. So we didn't expect them to really help us. His mom wouldn't even come outside the door when the police was out there, and we had been out there for a while. So that right there told us that she was not gonna help
And
us
she
at
kept
all.
lying and saying that, oh, he went to Atlanta. Oh, he went to Louisiana. Oh, he's at the sushi bar. He this and that. Like, you know where your son is at. You know where he went. You the one that bails him out when we start looking at stuff, she's the one that bails him out every time something happened. So you knew where your son was at the whole time.
She's an enabler.
And what other types of text messages did you receive from Kevin that may have been disturbing or misleading?
Just the one that he had threatened my life that he sent to my son. And then, like, the message that I received that said, I'm leaving and not coming back. Like I said, I knew that wasn't from my daughter at all.
So he made that message and sent it on her phone.
From what I've heard, I believe that they said, allegedly, I'm going to say that he had already killed her and then sent that message to me using her phone.
And it's our understanding, really, in the last minute we have here, that he also went to Louisiana to visit another woman?
Oh, yes. And I want to put this out there. he wants to be so hard. He wants to be this tough guy. But on Friday, April the 10th, he went to the, I'm going to say the welfare office and applied for food stamps and got approved. Are you serious? You done killed my child, but you still driving around in my vehicle and living your life.
Went to the mall. Don't forget the mall.
Picked up the car and smelled like nothing but weed. In there.
Say weed
He was smoking weed all in my mama's car after he killed my sister and went to the food stamp office and applied for food stamps.
In the mall.
And he cleaned my auntie car as if he was going to like try to drive off like into the whatever in her car. So he tried to clean it out real good.
Took off my decals.
Took off her decal as if she would never had got her keys, he would have been gone in her
kept
car.
that car. More than likely.
Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored and sharing your story. We know it's still a long, tough road to travel for you guys.
Yes.
I just want to thank you for coming and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing her story.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Please keep
and
us
we'll be
on
back
the
with
line.
more Factor in just a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of us.
This program is being brought to you by Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Tonight, we're learning more about the man behind the deadliest U.S. mass shooting in 2 years. They're calling it domestic shooting. Now, this weekend, 31-year-old Shamar Elkins went on a rampage in Shreveport, Louisiana, murdering 8 sleeping children, 7 of them his own. He also shot his reported girlfriend and his ex-wife before being killed by police. Tonight, investigators are pointing to a terrifying motive. Elkins was spiraling over an impending divorce, and the shooting happened just 1 day before he was due in family court. Joining us to talk about it, domestic violence advocate Matilda Saragosa and Andy Kahn of Houston Crime Stoppers. Andy, of course, we just talked with the previous family, Ashanti Allen's family, and you helped them tremendously. And of course, when you see another case like this, where it's just devastating, and 8 children are dead, your thoughts about this?
You know, again, it puts in perspective, and this is not an anomaly, what happened to Ashanti, and certainly not an anomaly what happened in Shreveport, only of massive proportions. But women who are going through a divorce, and obviously this must have been a very contentious divorce, are in a vulnerable state. Just like pregnant women That's where you see a lot of the homicides in domestic violence, sadly, is when a woman is pregnant. We've seen that before, Lacey Peterson and others as well. So when you see situations like this, it just brings to mind that women are in these vulnerable positions, and it's important for them to have resources, to have family, to have people they can talk with, and perhaps situations like this won't occur. This can't be something that was just a one-off. Particularly, we know in Ashanti's case, the suspect, Kevin Fowl, has a history of beating up women. He's beat up his girlfriends, he beat up his ex-girlfriends, he's been to prison, he's been to jail. That's what he likes to do. That's his M.O. I don't know what the M.O. in the Shreveport case, but obviously the divorce must have been the, quote, trigger that spurred him on to kill an entire family.
And Matilda, your thoughts, your assessment of what we are seeing in Shreveport, Louisiana. 8 children dead, 7 of his own. Your thoughts?
Clearly, we have a man that was about to lose control. And just like he said, a vulnerable woman. They were going into a court hearing. He was going to either have to pay child support, be responsible. A lot of men nowadays, they want to have the benefits and not the responsibilities. So we target these pregnant women. We want to take revenge in these divorce cases because it's a sense of loss of control. But I do encourage these women, and all women, to do your research, do your homework on these gentlemen. I mean, I even tell my grandkids nowadays, you got to do a whole damn background check on somebody you're deciding to date, a psychological evaluations, do your research. They come nowadays and the tactics have changed. Before they, it was just, how can I get to know you? And when they start to move a little bit faster now, they want to start dating you, they want to wine you, they want to dine you. That's a concern for me. Probe. Check out the upbringing.
But you know, like in the Shreveport case, this couldn't have been the first time this guy just snapped. This had to have happened.
Correct.
Multiple times.
Pay attention to the signs.
Exactly.
Check out the upbringing of the family. Just like this family shared, the family was enabling this person. They weren't giving out information. Find out how he was raised. Find out his history. See if there's any criminal background.
And really quick, what can you tell women out there who remain silent, remain quiet, and they don't want family members to know what's going on? Sometimes they're embarrassed by it, or they just want to keep what we consider their business.
Stand on courage and come out and speak the information that needs to be spoken. A lot of times we want to withhold this information thinking that we're going to protect that other person. It says, accept the things that I cannot change and change the things that I can. And if you don't step out on that courage and try to change the things that you can, then we'll never make a difference. So,
and if you don't want to do it for yourself,
please,
do it for your children.
Absolutely.
Right. We want to thank you both for joining us. We'll be back with more Factor. We'll continue this topic with different guests from a different perspective. Stay with us.
If you're injured here in Houston,
And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We're still exploring the family tragedy in Louisiana where so many died. The killer's military ties, and officials in Shreveport are calling out what's been happening online. Here was their message for those speculating on the case on social media.
Leave the social media chatter alone, thinking that you know everything when you do not. The best thing that you can do for them is to allow them to navigate again through this devastating, traumatic process.
Once again, we're talking about his military past and the internet destroying compassion in a case like this. Joining us to talk about it, David Malsby of the PTSD Foundation of America and social media expert Lauren Jo Olivo. Glad to have you. Lauren, let's start with you first. This has been hot on social media, but people can be complete assholes. They will say horrible things about the victim, the family, before they get any of the details. Your thoughts on what people should be doing in a case like this when there's so much loss, particularly 8 children?
Yeah, so number one, we never want to speak on children. Children are always off limits. Number two, we want to make sure that we don't turn content into tragedy, right? We want to make sure that we spread positivity. We don't know who out there, the family and the friends. Imagine someone that went to school with any of these young children, right? I mean, we just want to stay positive, no negativity at all.
And of course, we know a lot of young people in that family, despite what they're going through, they are still going on social media.
Absolutely.
They are curious about what people will say, and if you say a horrible, foul thing about that family, these people will be hurt to their core.
Absolutely. If you have nothing nice to say, like they say, don't say it at all, because you're spreading, you're sharing, and honestly, it's making things worse. So don't speculate, don't try to play a PI, just keep your thoughts to yourself and spread positivity.
And of course, in this world of AI, people are creating fake information, and that just hinders the investigation.
Absolutely, it does. And honestly, the more you share, you think you're doing a positive thing, but in reality, you're not. You know, so just let the police do their jobs and don't share it, and just stay positive.
And David, let's talk about the suspect in this case who is now dead. He was shot and killed by the officers, Mr. Elkins. History in the military. You help a lot of veterans who have addiction problems. Also, as a result of that, they get some mental health issues. How important is it if someone is suffering through PTSD or some kind of mental health crisis that they get help, especially when it seems like the world is closing in on them with a divorce?
Yeah, you know, quite often, in my personal experience in dealing with this for the last several years, many times the trigger is a relationship breaking. It's not so much the PTSD or whatever else might be going on, it's the relationship breaking up and the feel of loss of control. I will say this in regard to the main part of your question, like, I don't think it's very realistic for us, those who are normal, whatever that is, to expect that person who's in the dark place. And I don't know this individual, obviously, don't know his story. Did see some story about he had mentioned to somebody in the family he was in a dark place or something along those lines.
Yeah, he said he was trying to control his thoughts, his mind.
Yeah, so if they're in that dark spot, clearly mental health is some sort of an issue here. How realistic is it for us to expect them to make right choices? So we need to step in, and that's where the compassion steps in over judgment prior to a situation like this happening. You hear someone saying something like that, their dark thoughts, and they're drowning. Okay, how can I help you? What can I, how much more will you tell me? And show compassion and share with me what's going on, rather than, why in the world would you think something like that? It's compassion over judgment. And then, you know, at some point you've got to ask an uncomfortable question, and I'd rather ask that uncomfortable question while they're alive than stand at a very uncomfortable situation when they're in a casket. So ask it now while you can.
All right. We want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored with your expertise. And still ahead here on The Factor Uncensored, coming your way in just moments, HPD investigates one of their own officers. They're accused, or this person is accused of using a racial slur, a lot of racial slurs during online, and one during the arrest, and that person admits it on video. The details on the other side of the break.
watching the Isiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour of the Factor Uncensored. Fox 26 News is reporting a HPD officer is accused of repeatedly dropping the N-word on her social media account. Due to fair use guidelines, we cannot show you the video a viewer sent to Fox 26, which allegedly shows HPD officer Ashley Gonzalez using the slur on her close friend's Instagram story. And those who complained about it say she doesn't just say it, she brags about using it on a suspect during an arrest, claiming the slur brought her, quote, peace. Tonight, HPD tells Fox 26 they are aware of the video and they are not certain she is the person in the video. However, they have relieved her of duty as they investigate. Joining us to talk about this, President of the Houston NAACP, Bishop Dixon. You have seen the video. What is your assessment of it?
Well, first of all, thank you for being here, Isiah. I was shocked and after this, disturbed by the fact that an individual wears a badge, a gun, and is a certified peace officer with that kind of ideology. Racism is real, but it does not belong in a law enforcement uniform, and that's what we see in this scenario.
And for those who say, hey, wait a minute now, she's Hispanic.
Well, unfortunately, we do know that racism crosses lines of color and ethnicity. And it's even more pathetic, if I can say that word, because here we are battling against racism in our country, as you know. And we are a divided country about race. And we are trying to pull people together. We're trying to build black and brown coalition. And coalitions among people who understand that we're really one family with one future. And yet, what's supposed to be the best of us in terms of a police officer misrepresents all the good officers, unfortunately, and more unfortunately, represents that there's still a degree or measure of people, even in law enforcement, who are carrying racist ideology and living out racist mentality while they're on a job. That's endangering the public and endangering their fellow officers.
What do you think HPD's course of action should be here as a result of this coming out, if this is in fact her, and they acknowledge they are investigating her?
Well, two things. First of all, if the investigation proves that this is this individual making these kind of statements with this ideology, the person should be completely terminated. That does not belong on the street with a gun and a badge patrolling. Think about it. If that individual stops someone for a traffic violation, that's an African American. She sees that person as the object, as a digger. If that's the case, that doesn't belong there. But then secondly, HPD, I think, needs to do more with sensitivity training. I do know that there were times in the past, persons like myself would get called to help with sensitivity training prior to officers getting the badge and the gun, and then even beyond. We've got to get back to that kind of real detailed training and conversations in law enforcement.
And of course, it's our understanding from our reporter that she, this officer completed the training in 2024 as a cadet. And your assessment of seeing the video and how she uses the word, would you say it's part of how she grew up? What?
First of all, we're not born racist, right? We learn racism from people who we believe in. So
and let me make it clear.
Yeah.
Because when she says it, it just flows right out.
It flows
as if it's in everyday language for her.
This is not a first time.
Like, no. And that's it.
No.
It's like she's said it for quite some time.
People who know this individual knows this individual and knows the proclivities. Family, friends, even other police officers. Think about it. When she committed this particular arrest, she was perhaps not doing that alone. Maybe some other officer heard her use those words. Who is complicit in this situation because you ignored it, and now this is what we have? But often it ends up violent, in violence, even beyond just an arrest. So I think we got to deal with the heart of the issue All of us have a responsibility. If someone has a job where they can endanger other people's lives based on their ideology, especially racism, all of us have a responsibility to do something, say something, and stop it before it causes real problems. That's what we are in America, and that's what we're in Houston.
And do you think there's a possibility of redeeming her, retraining for her before they terminate her?
Well, I will say this: I hope the person gets retrained and reformed for the longevity of life. But I don't think law enforcement perhaps is the place for that. And I don't want to pass judgment conclusively, but I think that there's got to be something done individually to get this individual straight for the fact that, listen, people are people, and anytime you objectify a person and you wreck their dignity, that rob them of dignity, that person does not belong in a uniform at all representing law enforcement. Peace officers have to respect every person the same to do their jobs effectively. That's not a high bar, that's just the low bar, just a human respect. We got to make sure that happens in HPD.
All right, Bishop, thank you for joining us. And of course, HPD once again is investigating this. Once they get the results, we'll bring it back here on The Factor. And of course, that officer is welcome here on The Factor to give their side. Still ahead, we live in a world where sex is everywhere. It dominates our media and drives our culture. But what happens when you choose to completely unplug from it? Next, we sit down with people who have taken the path of celibacy.
When you're looking
Welcome back to The Factor. In a culture obsessed with hookups, some singles are making a radical choice, taking sex completely off the table. Tonight, we're talking about faith and the motion or the notion of passing up having sex. Joining us now, Singleton Grant, a Christian who has chosen a lifestyle of celibacy, and Willie McInnes, a 44-year-old Christian virgin. Glad to have you both here on The Factor Uncensored. You and I had this conversation just last week, and I said, let's talk about it on The Factor. So why did you decide to take this path?
Honestly, I had been through a lot of ups and downs in life. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I was very promiscuous, and as I moved to Houston, Texas, and started finding my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I started breaking generational curses and realized I was battling lust, and a lot of things that I've been through in my life, whether it was mental, physical, criminal, or me just in my head, it was me can't control my lust and can't control my discipline. So with me being able to stop self-pleasuring and stop having sex with women allows me to get closer with my Lord and Savior, and allows me to have a peace of mind so I can find a wife one day and to be a better man.
How long have you been on this path?
I'm gonna be quite honest with you. I started this about 3 years ago. I had my ups and downs. A man might fall down 7 times, but he gonna stand up. And I say I started 3 years ago, and in about a year and a half, I've been completely that's the longest I've been. So a year and a half, and I don't plan on going back.
And I want to talk to you about the reaction of friends and the public in just a second, but Willie, let's hear your story. 44.
Yes, sir.
Virgin.
Yes, sir. For me, man, it was just discipline. Discipline and having God in my life and not falling into temptation. You know, I know people think, you know, being 44-year-old, being a virgin, you know, it's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, you know who you are in Christ.
And have you felt that from people, that if you tell them you're a 44-year-old virgin, you get this look, this stare, what?
Man, I mean, I get the look sometimes, but then again, I don't let it bother me. You know, because if I let it bother me, then it's gonna get the best of me, and that's not me. So I learned that as a man, you know, people can say what they want to say, they can talk about me, but
what are they saying when?
Man, you need to get some kids. You need to go ahead and do this. But I'm like, you know, if it happens, it happens. If not, I'm not, you know, I'm not scared about it. I'm not afraid about it. You know.
And is there any pressure at all on you to?
No, I mean, it might be some pressure, but it's not like pressure enough to like jump in right then and there. But you know, I just learned to take my time and be the man that God has called me to be.
And Singleton, that's one of the issues. You said public pressure and people looking at it as something negative. Your thoughts? Tell me about that and how the type of response you've received.
The type of responses I've seen, because people try to bring my past life of things that I was doing or entertaining. And I'll say this, with me getting out my hometown, Jesus, he didn't perform a lot of miracles in Bethlehem and Jerusalem. But when he went to other countries and other cities, they looked at him as the son of God and not just a son of Mary. So I don't let my past define me. So when people bring up certain things, they don't do it as much now because they see I've been on a straight and narrow path and trying to be obedient.
Have you had any temptation where?
All the time. All the time.
And what does that look like for you?
At first, it was tough. I'll be honest with you, I'll fall. But once I learned from my mistakes and learned from the things I was being tempted from, because we have demons inside humans and that walk around this earth. So I realized sometimes it might be a beautiful woman with money and everything who might try to entice me, but when I feel that feeling, I pray to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and he finds a way to get me out of that room.
And for you, for those who judge you, what do you say to those people, Willie?
Man, when people judge me, it's, they could, like I said earlier, they can say what they want.
And here's the difference. You're intentional, you have stopped having sex, intentional, so that is considered celibacy. You just have never had sex, and you're waiting on it to happen.
I'm waiting on.
And the right person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's for me, just waiting on the right woman that God has for me, not what people want me to have, not what this person want me to have, but what God has in store for me.
All right. We'll continue this conversation with you in just a moment. We got the lady who knows all about sex. Sex. And we'll talk to Lady McCallan next. Stay with us.
After a huge
And welcome back to The Factor. A little bit of sex ed tonight. Abstinence is a choice to pause sex, while celibacy is a strict long-term lifestyle vow. But in 2026, hyper-sexualized culture, choosing neither could be the ultimate rebellion. Our guests are back, along with kinkologist Lady McCallan and former youth pastor Alejandro Perez. So, Alejandro, what would you tell these individuals who say, we're Christians and this is a path we're traveling?
Yeah, of course. So I would say in this world, because of sin, there's a lot of sexual brokenness. And as a Christian, you understand that. And sex was given to us to be a gift, and it's something that God created. God created to be pleasurable. There's a lot of temptations, but we're called to explore sex in the four walls of marriage.
And so, while these guys are not married, you don't see anything wrong with it?
No, not at all. This is what we're called to do. We're called to maintain a sexual purity as a Christian.
And Lady McCallan, of course, you deal with all kinds of sexual kinks, individuals who want fantasies. But for those who say, this is just not for me right now, your thoughts?
You know, I'm pro-slut, I'm pro-choice, I'm pro-everything. So if this is their choice, I think that's beautiful. There's actually a misconception in the kink community that we don't like this, that we think this is wrong. If this is your choice, then that's beautiful, that's wonderful. Now, abstinence and celibacy actually has a wonderful psychological and emotional benefit. Like, it actually helps you with mental clarity, it helps you with all kinds of different things. And if this is your choice and it's not something that has come from trauma or from shame, this is actually your faith choice and not from that, it's wonderful. It's a great thing to do if this is something that you really truly want to do because it's what you want to do and what you believe in your faith. So I think that's great.
Not trying to find alternatives for these guys, but there are people who just don't have intercourse, but they come see you.
No, actually, oddly, so I did a couple, there was a couple that were an older couple, and they were older virgins. Speaking of this, and they came to me because they were getting married and they were terrified of the idea of sex because they were older and they were religious, and so they came to me. Another couple recommended them to me, and I actually walked them through the intimacy of their first night and how it was going to go and how they could be better acquainted with each other and make it something beautiful and not something scary and something that they were going to be like afraid of or something that was going to make them uncomfortable. So there's so many different ways that you can be pro-sex and pro-religious and all of this if you just like open up and you just try to make it a better understanding between everybody.
And are we seeing a change? I think I recently saw a study that indicated 1 in 3 Gen Zers have decided.
Yes, especially women. So this is actually the men thing.
Well, actually the poll I saw, they said more are males than females. I think it was like 18% for males and 15 or 14% for females.
Okay, well there's different studies on different things. So I'm not sure. I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, but we're on the same path.
Yeah. So it's a lot of things. Hookup culture is kind of on a downcline right now. It's everybody is getting into a space to where they're realizing that there's so much available sex everywhere. And that's not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing when it comes to younger audiences and religious people and people that are trying to have self-discovery. Because if you have something thrown in your face all the time, constantly, without the actual education of it, it's actually detrimental to your sexual history and your sexual health. Like, you have to have the tools to understand like sex and kink and your own individual identity sexually for you to make choices that are conscientious to yourself and healthy for your mind and body. So yeah, these kids are doing great, man. They're like actually doing the research. They're finding out what they want to do. They're finding out their religious beliefs first. They're finding out what if they want to do something, if they want to be celibate, if they want to wait for marriage, if they don't want to wait for marriage, if they want to get kinky, if they don't want to get kinky. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's a great thing that people are discovering more, that they want to do more personal discovery before they just jump right into hookups.
And Singleton, what would be your advice to someone, a young person who comes to you, or maybe old ass person like Willie?
We're not old.
Look, I'm older than everybody here, but look, I want your advice, your direction. What would you tell them?
About if they want to have sex or not?
No. If they want to sell it,
like if they want to get freaky or not.
I'd tell them straight like this, because I feel like if I'm gonna keep all the way real, I feel like in certain environments, you're trained to be promiscuous, and I'm especially, let's say, in a more minority environment, right? It's not cool to have one girlfriend or have one wife. So you listen to the rap music and the R&B music, and they teach you about hookup.
Wifey, girlfriend, and mistress. Yep.
For sure. But I'll say this: that's all the way wrong. The word of God is the only way. So if you want it, because hell is real, and I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not trying to disrespect you or nothing. I respect you and your opinion. You're a beautiful young woman. Keep having your opinion, but I'm gonna be honest with you like this: the word of God is real. Hell is real. I'm not trying to scare somebody, but I'm trying to keep it all the way 1,000. If you want to go to heaven, follow that word. Basic instructions before leaving Earth, and I'm gonna end it on that one.
All right. And Willie, really quick, 10 seconds, what would be your advice?
Man, just wait on God.
All right. That'll work. Thank you guys for sharing your story. Thank you both for your expertise. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. That was absolutely a full show tonight and very interesting with some incredible topics. So if you missed any of those topics, make sure you go to our new YouTube page where you can catch them again or share them with people or post them on Facebook, social media at our new YouTube page at Isiah Factor Uncensored. And of course, remember to check out our social media pages at the Isiah Factor on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And don't forget to download the Foxo app where you can catch the Isiah Factor along with many other great programs. We want to thank you for joining us here on the Factor Uncensored. And of course, we're going to have many more great shows, but don't forget to follow us on YouTube. That'll do it for us. Have a good night.